Welcome to Discover Ramona, where we explore the people, places, and businesses that make it one of the best places to live. Today I'm with my co-host, Jan Ryan. Jan, welcome.
Hi, Valley.
Yeah,
good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Jan, there is a crazy amount of conversation, discussion over the fire insurance and the CAL FIRE inspections. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm finding, everybody knows I think about fire insurance. A lot of people are getting canceled, but there is a few sources, so let me know. There's some good insurance agents in Ramona because we're a little bit different, but we have to do inspections now at the point of sale. So you can either have the buyer agree to do it after close, or the seller can do it depending on the agreement. So it's really interesting. We just had one done the other day. I met the CAL FIRE representative out at a property, and he shared with me what they're looking for, so I thought I'd share that with everybody. They want all the brush cleared, and that includes any dead branches that are on bushes or trees to within 100 feet, so that's quite a ways out. They also checked, we had some branches that were 3 or 4 feet away from the chimney, but they wanted those cut back 10 feet. And then there's another thing in Ramona, we have propane tanks, and if you're in San Diego country estates, they're required to be hidden from view. So if you have a lattice work or any type of wood enclosure, that has to go. It's got to be a non-combustible material. So the HOA is now looking for that as well and incorporating that into their landscape guidelines. So there's a few other things, but I find that is one of the few of the biggest things that they said. So I hope that helps everybody.
Yeah, it does. If CAL FIRE only does the inspection at time of sale, not just a pop-up, you're not going to get a notice and a citation right away or anything?
Oh yeah, you have to ask for those. So if you're representing the seller and the seller's required to do it, you can request the inspection, or the buyer can request it, but they don't come out without somebody requesting it.
Got it. So they just want to get all these properties prepared and safe as possible.
Yes, and I think it's going to be a really good thing. It might be kind of a pain right now, but it'll be a good thing. Hopefully our insurance will go down because there'll be less fires. That's my wish.
Yeah, and it's the fear and the reality of fires happening. It's very real, and if anybody has ever lost a home to a wildfire, they would understand like these things are important, that we implement them and follow these new inspection guidelines. So
exactly.
Okay, so you have another amazing guest. And they love Ramona just as much as everyone else. And who are they? They run a produce grocery store?
Yeah, Ramona Family Naturals. We're super great to have them there, and it's Robert Bradley. He and his wife started Ramona Family Naturals, and I'll let him tell you the story.
Awesome, let's meet him. Hi Robert, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely to meet you. So I'm super interested in what you do, because I come from a background where I used to be a raw vegan. So I'm interested in your store and all the things that you provide to the community.
Oh, that's interesting about your background. So our store, we have a high emphasis on organic and natural. We are not vegan focused, so organic and natural is our primary focus. So we have grass-fed organic meats and organic chicken, as well as organic produce and milk and all that kind of stuff. Basically a regular grocery store with a strict emphasis on organic and natural.
Right, so where do you get your products?
Well, we have various vendors. We have local suppliers for some of our eggs and produce, things like that, and then we also have distributors for grocery items and other produce items.
And as I understand it, you didn't just buy this business, you developed it from the ground up, correct?
That is correct. So my wife started it out of our house, I want to say in like late 2007, and kind of like a buying club, and she started doing classes in our house about making kombucha and fermented foods and things like that out of Sally Fallon's book, Nourishing Traditions, put out by Weston A. Price Foundation. So we started following that, and at first I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, organic, that's a gimmick, it's a marketing gimmick, whatever. But as I became more educated, I changed my diet. It made more sense to me, and so I just got more involved.
Yeah.
And I never went back to work after 2008.
So this idea spawned off of your wife's interests.
That's correct, yeah.
And
Amazing.
I remember seeing your trucks. Didn't you have those really cool trucks?
Yeah.
I said those are the coolest trucks.
So it was a cool truck. It was a refrigerated truck, as a matter of fact. So we had one truck, a 16-foot box truck, refrigerated truck that we started with our little family van and kids in the car seat making deliveries and that kind of stuff. And then we bought a box truck and with a refrigeration unit on it, and we used to make deliveries with that. And at the time, my son Justice and my daughter Sarah, who are now, Justice is 17 and Sarah is 15, they were both in car seats at the time.
That's amazing.
And so I could take both of them, or Victoria could take both of them in their car seats and go out and do deliveries.
That
was kind of fun.
And then you were in the old hardware store.
That's
for a
correct.
while.
We were at the old hardware store, which originally was Whiting's Feed and Supply, I think from 1909 to 1969, and and so that was our first venture into retail. So we did it the opposite of everyone else. We started with as an online business, and then we converted to brick and mortar when everybody else was converting from brick and mortar to online.
Was there a push for that, a reason for it?
Well, our customer base was largely local, and they were just begging us to open a store. And we were like, oh, how hard can it be? Let's just go rent a space and do it.
How hard has it been?
Horrendously hard. Terrible decision. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Well, the new location, it's phenomenal. You walk in, it's just phenomenal. We're lucky to have it.
Thank you. I
and you
appreciate
guys
that.
and Robert's in there, I swear, 24/7 working hard.
Not 24/7. I'm sure that Victoria probably feels like that. The kids probably feel like that. You know you're there too long when you're leaving and they say, "Mommy, who was that man you were kissing?"
No. I like that you mentioned when we asked earlier that you created this because you didn't want people to have to leave the mountain to go get their produce.
Yeah. So that was that. Well, there's a need in our community. We didn't have a natural food store. We had for a period of time a store called Orchards, which had some natural products. They offered them, but it wasn't their primary focus. They were just meeting a niche. Ironically, we're not meeting a niche. I mean, we are meeting a niche, but it's not our focus. Our focus isn't like, hey, there's an open niche here, let's meet it. It's we believe in it and we want to offer it, and it makes it easier for us to do our shopping. That's why we exist, because we actually believe in what we're doing, and we want to share it with others.
And you guys sell more than just produce, right? You have other products there.
Yeah, we have general merchandise, paper goods. We have a restaurant. We have a smoothie and acai bar, coffee bar, all that kind of stuff.
And like I said, I'm going there right after. Their acai bowls are amazing, and the restaurant is so good. They're great for breakfast, lunch, so super healthy.
Yes. So our eggs, like if you get an omelet from us, they're from a local egg ranch. They're organic, pasture-raised, corn-free, soy-free feed. So if you get nerdy about food and you study like why you don't want your chickens to eat corn and soy, then you'll be excited about these eggs.
Wonderful. And so I didn't know that there was a restaurant inside of there.
Yeah.
So that sounds like, what are your guys' hours?
So our hours, every day of the week we open at 8 a.m. and we close at 7 every day, except for Thursday. We stay open late for cruise night, which is when they run the old cars up and down Main Street, and then we do a special dinner menu, and we have music on the patio. So we're open a little bit later, open till 8 p.m. And then Sundays we close at 6 p.m. Nobody needs us after 6 on Sunday. So.
Right.
And I think one of the things I want to make sure people know about, I think they all know about it in Ramona, but how community-minded you are.
Thank you.
You do a lot of events there for veterans, I've seen, and local companies, and I've even seen, I think I saw on Facebook recently, were you singing?
You may have seen that. Probably Tim put that up there. I'm not on social media. I don't go on social media much, so almost zero, actually. Very, very little, so I haven't seen that video. But I did sing.
I've heard you.
I am aware that it is up
I don't know if
there.
I heard you sing.
Were you
but
singing in the store, or were we?
No, the band that plays on Thursday night, Dirty Confetti,
At
our store. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have this beautiful patio, and so we have a band that asked if they could play there on Thursday
Wow,
nights.
that's so neat.
This is like 2018, 2019, I can't remember. And so they just started playing, and we're like, oh, this is kind of fun, and people were showing up, and it just became this like I don't know, cultural experience for Ramona, I guess you'd call it. And in fact, I had a lady come one year, and well, you could edit this out if you want, but she says, "This is like 2019. This is amazing." But anyway, so I happened to be at a birthday party, and the band asked me to sing Folsom Prison Blues, Johnny Cash. And I was like, I said, I don't know that song. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know it. I'm like, well, I know the song, but I can't sing it. Like, I don't know, like, I wouldn't be able to do the lyrics exactly. And he goes, oh, we'll lead you in. So anyway, everybody there was drinking except for me. And so everyone thought I did amazing. So I'm like, whatever, that's fine. And so at my place, they asked me to do it again. And so I did it, and then it just became a thing.
A thing.
Yeah, it just became a thing.
That's interesting. Okay, so you're leaving out nuggets for us. So now you have a restaurant. We learned that. There's also a patio that a band plays.
Yeah.
Which I think it's really cool, because people that are into organic foods and people that really enjoy and focus on their foods and what, it's kind of like a part of you. It's kind of like a lifestyle. So when you go to get your groceries, you don't just Instacart that kind of stuff. You want to go specifically because you're looking for a certain type of fruit. You're looking for a certain, sometimes even a shape. Like, it really matters what you're picking out, and it becomes part of your process where it's like, it brought me peace when I get to go to the local market and find. So now you can sit with your family and eat if you want. You get a band, so you get a little bit of show and relaxation. It's kind of like a whole vibe.
Well, they've also got all these healthy options. So your name came up again this morning, Robert. We were talking about when you drink, you need the electrolytes. And
Yes.
someone said, oh, go to Ramona Family Naturals. They've got the orange bin with the stuff that's not too sweet. So I said, I don't. Right. So they
we have the
too.
natural alternatives for all the conventional stuff. You know, the other sports brands, everyone knows what they are. Mm-hmm. So we have the natural alternatives to that
Nice.
have natural sea salt in it. They don't have high fructose corn syrup. There's no artificial colors and red dye and yellow dye and all that stuff in there. It's not good for us. So.
Well, that's a big thing, because I know people that children misbehave and they have a different reaction when they get that red dye in them. So
yeah, there's a lot of research on that, on sugars, the preservatives, the food colorings, and all those things, and how they affect behavior and kill children. And and basically they just make us sick. So.
I've heard other things too. I'm kind of blowing your horn for your business, you and your wife.
Thank you.
But I've heard the employees love you guys, number one. It's a tight-knit group. You walk in there and everybody's happy and helpful. It's not just your everyday. The other thing is, they've told me stories of families coming in that are maybe need a little help, and you've helped people just community-minded. So I hear a lot of,
yeah, no,
Thank
that
you.
makes sense.
Well,
That's amazing, because
thank you.
no,
Yeah.
just knowing that, like, we've all been in that situation where we like kind of wonder if we should help a family or not, but you don't want to overstep. But being mindful and seeing somebody in need and stepping up and just taking, the leadership in that, it's
I just
rare.
follow a very basic principle. It's in the Bible. It's do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And so when I perceive a need, I try my best to meet it. And sometimes it's pretty significant, and I don't realize it. I had sorry.
It's okay.
It's a great compliment, and it's not. And I never do anything like that to be noticed, but I know that there are people who've been enormously impacted, and without me really even understanding the impact, because you don't know the story until later down the road. And so it's always very rewarding, I guess. But I was in my wife and I were participating in a Bible study, and this new couple joined, and the wife said, I'm so happy that you guys are in this group. And I said, well, why is that? And she goes, oh, well, our friend had cancer, and she was telling how you would help them and do all this stuff for them. And I looked at Victoria and said, I'm not sure who she's talking about, because it could have been multiple families. And that was at that moment that I realized, like, okay, now I understand what our job is here.
Right.
That we are making an impact in the community, and we don't do anything like that just it's not a marketing gimmick. It's just who we are.
Right.
You know, like the music on the patio and some of the stuff we do doesn't make any sense. If you're looking at the business model of grocery, we do a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense, but it's fun and it's good for the community, and that's why we do it. I have a friend who he rode his bike from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast in 2009, I think it was. Yeah, 2009. And I met him because he was fueling his trip on raw milk. And he was trying to draw attention to it because he recovered some serious health issues using raw milk. And it's illegal in the state of Wisconsin where he's from, which is a dairy state. And anyway, so fast forward, so anyway, the whole backstory there, but fast forward to 2021, he's out here visiting. He brings his daughter out here, who was just a baby at that time, and he's staying at my house, and he comes down for a Thursday night thing, and they're out on the patio. Well, he only eats raw food, so raw chicken, raw beef, everything is raw. Very unusual, cultural shock for a lot of people, right? And so out on the patio, you know, everybody's having wine and having their burgers and whatever it is that we're serving, and I was feeling kind of funny. I was like, you know, we have this whole grocery store that is full of organic food, and most of these people show up for the Thursday night party, and they're not really regular customers, and it kind of frustrated me a little bit. And Max was there, and Max Kane is his name, and anyway, so I introduced Max, and I told about how I met him and about his health journey and that kind of stuff with Crohn's disease and how he's, you know, completely healed himself, and he's just strong and vivacious guy. And anyway, and so I kind of got on my soapbox a little bit about eating healthy and organic, and we're about more than just beer and wine and burgers on Thursday nights and that kind of stuff. And Max, later on that night, he says to me, he goes, you know, what you have going on your patio on Thursday nights, he goes, that's community, and those people, it's good for their health. He goes, you shouldn't be so hard on them about that. And I thought that was kind of funny coming from him. He's like so regimented about what he eats. Like he won't eat anything that's cooked and nothing that is not organic or organically grown. And so it was just kind of funny, but he says it's really good for them. It's good for your health to have cheer and joy and community and that sense of connectivity with others. And so anyway, the funny thing is I just saw him last June at his house in Wisconsin, and we're sitting around the dinner table, and I was telling this story about how he said it's not so important what you eat, but you know, not only what you eat, but also the relationships and the community. And his kids and his wife look at him and go, he didn't say that. I'm like, he did say that. It was because he's so hardcore about, you know, diet and nutrition and all that stuff.
Well, you'll get all kinds of people like that in your store, I assume. People that are super regimented, people that are curious and want to kind of learn. I mean, I know I've taken hours around reading labels and teaching myself the things. You'll have people like that. You also find people that just like this brand and flavor of this food, and that's what they come in for.
Right. You know, one of the things, I was at a conference in June, and 300 and plus retailers, independent natural food retailers, and it was a Q&A session with a guest from Lily's Sweet Chocolates, if you know they are, the sugar-free chocolates. Anyway, this gal has a small store. She describes she's in Illinois, but she describes a community very similar to Ramona, rural, you know, not high density population, and talked about how do you compete with like the big chain grocery stores. Like for us, it would be Albertsons or Stater Brothers. Anyway, when they have like pasta for, let's say, 99 cents a pound, and yours is $2.99 for organic pasta, how do you compete with that? And I was like, I commented on that. I said, hey, our job is to educate people. What is the value proposition? Why you want organic? Why you don't want to eat grains that are sprayed with glyphosate or Roundup, as we all know it? You know, why that's bad for you, and why it costs more to produce it that way. And there's limited sources, and why it's valuable. I have customers that literally live in their vehicles but only eat organic. And I have some very affluent customers who can spend $10,000 on jet fuel and go play golf anywhere they want in the country just because it sounds good to them this afternoon, but think my lettuce is too expensive because it's $2.99 a head and I get it for 99 cents at the other store. You know what I mean? So it's a value proposition, and that's, as an independent natural food retailer, that is our job, to educate the consumer on that, because there is, I think when you understand the value of it, it makes perfect sense and you're willing to do it.
No, I agree. It's
Because
what's,
your health is, how do you place value on your health?
well, yeah, it's what is valuable to you.
Right.
Is the money, the saving the
Right.
$2 more valuable to you, or knowing that you're putting like locally grown or very well produced head of lettuce into your body? It's very important.
Yeah. And there's a lot of economics to supporting local as well. Like, so if I support a local farmer and you're buying produce from me, it's something like 90% of those dollars stay in the community. But if you're buying it from a national chain store or a huge conglomerate, and they're buying it from wherever, then it's like 10% of the money stays in the community. So there's a strategy to support local as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to talk about politics too much, but it's unavoidable in our era right now that when certain government mandates come down, who's going to enforce them and how they enforce them and how they care about the people that are impacted. You have a choice. You can go to the independent guy that lives on your block and that your kids play baseball with, and maybe you go to church with them or your kids go to school with their kids and all that, and they're going to talk to you a certain way, versus somebody that has no connection to you whatsoever is going to treat you like an animal, hurting you.
Yeah.
And I witnessed that in a local store in Ramona, and I said, we're not behaving that way, and we're not treating people like cattle.
Right.
So.
Well, and the more and more tightening we get with our, I guess, how produce comes to our stores, I think more people are going to just start looking for alternative resources than the big brands like an Albertsons or Stater Brothers.
Right.
They're going to start going to the locally grown places because they can trust it more.
Right. Well, trust is an important thing, and you have to know your brands. You have to know, you know, people shop at our store because they trust our selection process. And occasionally there's things that get through our back door that we didn't realize. Like, you know, a broker will come and say, oh, I can free fill you this, and this is a great item. And, you know, you're busy, you don't think about it. You trust their decision. They know your values. And all of a sudden you get a product and look at the ingredients like, okay, that's got to go.
Right.
That shouldn't be on my shelf.
Yeah.
And so it happens. And I tell people, I said, I have exceptions in the store.
Just like any business, though. And if things slip through the cracks, and then we just notice it, make adjustments, and move forward.
Something that you alluded to, and we kind of touched on it, but I think what we are more than anything else, we're just a culture, you know, and like what's the difference between us and a different store is our culture, and it's because we do care about people. We care about them individually.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's your heart. I feel like knowing the business owner's heart and where you came from, just thinking about the story of how you started out of your garage in your car to making local deliveries to fulfilling a bigger purpose for yourself and for the community. It's really remarkable what
and
you've
we've
done.
had enormous support from our community and friends and the business people in the community, as well as our direct customers, because we didn't know what we were doing. We'd never been in retail before. I'm IT background, worked in the corporate world for banks, and my wife worked for Deloitte & Touche and in the marketing department, and we had no clue what we were doing. We were just following a passion.
Yeah.
And it made sense to us, and we liked what we were doing, the people that were directly impacting, that we can see it was tangible, and that was fun, and it felt good.
Yeah, I get it. So passion and purpose can really take you far in life. Well, Robert, it was so lovely to meet you and hear your story. I appreciate it so much. Jan, of course,
so good to have you, Robert.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Your busy
thank
schedule.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you guys for watching Discover Ramona, where we explore the people, places, and businesses that make Ramona one of the best places to live. Let's see you next time.